The sun had not yet risen over Sao Paulo in 1995, when Nelson Sakaguchi received a fax that would end his life as he knew it. It wasn't just a letter, it was a ghost. It arrived on the crisp embossed stationery of the Central Bank of Nigeria, signed with the flourishes of an officialdom that demanded, no, that commanded immediate respect. This was the birth of Project 134, a mirage that would eventually devour $242 million and leave one of Brazil's oldest banks in a pile of digital ash. But at that moment, to Sakaguchi, it was simply an invitation, a whispered promise of a $10 million commission for a man who believed he was too smart to be fooled. The mastermind behind the paper was Emmanuel Nwude. To the world, Nwude was a former director of Union Bank, a man of pedigree, a man of stature. But in reality, he was a predator who understood one thing. The strongest lock on a bank vault isn't made of steel. It is made of human vanity. Nwude didn't just tell a lie. He constructed a parallel universe. He stepped into the shoes of Paul Oguma, the actual governor of the central bank, adopting his tone, his syntax, and his absolute authority. Beside him stood a cabinet of shadows, Ikechukwu Anajemba, playing the role of a high-ranking aviation official, and a team of secretaries manning burner phones in Lagos, just waiting for the phone to ring. When Sakaguchi finally flew to London to meet the governor, he wasn't met in a dark alley. No, Nwude greeted him in the gilded luxury of a rented penthouse. He looked Sakaguchi in the eye and spoke of a new international airport in Abuja, a project so vital to the pride of Africa that it required a partner of Sakaguchi's unique discretion. The banker was hooked. He wasn't just investing bank capital anymore. He was investing in his own legend. Nwude's brilliance was in the in-person close. He gave the mirage a physical form. He gave it expensive cologne and a firm, statesman-like handshake. But behind the scenes, the administrative ecosystem was breathtaking. Nwude didn't just forge a letter, he forged a government. He created fake departments, each with its own specific letterhead and official stamps. He hired actors to play security guards. He even arranged motorcades for visitors. Motorcades cleared by bribed officials to make the official visit feel like a state affair. The scent of old paper, the hum of typewriter keys, the busy offices. Every detail was calculated to bury Sakaguchi's financial logic under the weight of official procedure. He was being gaslit by an entire fake bureaucracy. Then, the bleeding began. Over the next 3 years, Sakaguchi executed 94 separate wire transfers. 94. He bypassed every internal alarm by routing the funds through the bank's branch in the Cayman Islands. In the mid-90s, the Caymans were a digital black hole. Money entered and simply ceased to exist for the purposes of oversight. From there, the funds began a dizzying global tour. Geneva, Zurich, New York, Hong Kong, before finally settling into the web of accounts in Nigeria. Nwude knew exactly how to keep the transfers routine. He knew the specific thresholds that triggered red flags at central clearinghouses, and he danced just below them. Each transfer was accompanied by a fresh flurry of interim progress reports and tax clearance waivers. To an auditor, it looked like a complex infrastructure project. To Nwude, it was a $242 million harvest. But as the years passed and the Abuja International Airport remained a patch of dry grass where goats grazed, Sakaguchi's mind began to fracture. He had moved too much money to admit he was wrong. He was trapped in the sunk cost fallacy. When you gamble your life on a lie, you will pay any price to make that lie true. To keep him from pulling back, Nwude introduced a darker form of control. He introduced the banker to a voodoo priestess. She didn't talk of interest rates. She talked of blood. She talked of spirits. She convinced the director of an international bank that evil forces were blocking the runway, and only more money for spiritual cleansing could lift the curse. Think about that. A high-level banker paying for sacrifices to ensure the success of an airport that didn't have a single brick laid. He was sending millions of dollars to pay for rituals while the bank's capital was evaporating into the pockets of the Lagos elite. The collapse didn't come from a confession. It came from the cold, unfeeling machinery of a corporate merger. In 1997, the Spanish giant Santander moved to buy Banco Noroeste. During the due diligence, the auditors did what Sakaguchi's superiors had failed to do. They looked at the Cayman accounts, and they found a hole. A $242 million hole. 40% of the bank's total value gone.
The owners, the Simonsen and Cochrane families, were horrified. Their legacy was on the line. To save the deal, they did the unthinkable. They reached into their own private family fortunes and they paid back the $242 million themselves. The bank survived the merger, but it died in spirit. And the hunt for Emmanuel Nwude, it was finally on. The investigation was a Herculean task spanning 4 continents. From the high-rises of Sao Paulo to the secretive vaults of Switzerland, and finally to the bustling heart of Lagos. Nigeria was under pressure. The world was watching. If they didn't act, the country would be blacklisted by the Financial Action Task Force. The entire sovereign credibility of the nation was at stake. This was the birth of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, and its chief, Nuhu Ribadu, was a man of legendary iron. When the EFCC finally cornered Nwude, he did what he had always done. He tried to buy the room. He allegedly offered Ribadu $15 million in cash, right there. A suitcase of $100 bills. Nwude sat there, assuming every man had a price. But Ribadu didn't take the money. He used the bribe as a fresh charge. He turned the arrest into a national symbol, a message that the old ways were dying. The trial was a circus of the macabre. Bomb threats cleared the courthouse. Witnesses were intimidated into silence. One witness was reportedly kidnapped before they could take the stand. Nelson Sakaguchi, now a broken man serving time in a Swiss cell, was flown to Lagos to face the man who destroyed him. He sat in that witness box, a ghost of a banker, and told the world how a man with a fax machine had convinced him to throw $242 million into a hole in the ground. He looked at Nwude, and for the first time, he saw not a governor, but a ghost maker,
In 2005, Nwude finally pleaded guilty. He was sentenced to 5 years and ordered to return $110 million. But the recovery was a mess. Much of the money had been laundered into real estate, luxury cars, and political influence. Nwude was a creature of the system. He was released in 2006 and immediately began a decade-long legal war to sue the government for his seized assets. He claimed they were bought with legitimate money. He claimed he was the victim of an overzealous government. He actually won several of these battles, reclaiming a significant portion of his wealth through the same courts that had convicted him. And the story only gets darker. Nwude's release didn't lead to a quiet life of reflection. He used the remnants of his wealth to fund a new kind of power. In 2016, the white-collar mastermind was arrested for allegedly leading 200 armed men in a violent land dispute in Ukpo, Anambra State. The attack was a brutal contrast to the sophisticated forgery of the 90s. It was raw, bloody violence. It left several people dead. It proved that the man who sold a fake airport was capable of far more than just paper crimes. He was a man for whom the law was a suggestion, and other people's lives were just capital. He had traded his suit for the mantle of a warlord. Even today, in 2025, Nwude remains a fixture in the Nigerian courts. He is currently facing a 15-count charge for allegedly forging the very court orders he needed to steal back the land he was forced to give up. It is the perfect recursive end to the story. A man who rose through forgery, trying to use forgery to steal back the price of his original crime. In the witness stand today, he maintains a chilling poise. He claims he has no idea how that $242 million found its way into his accounts 30 years ago. He is still gaslighting the world. He looks the judge in the eye and tells the same kind of lies he told to Sakaguchi in that London penthouse 3 decades ago. The script hasn't changed. Only the audience has. The legacy of Emmanuel Nwude is etched into the very phone you are holding. Project 134 forced a total rewrite of global banking. It led to the KYC and anti-money laundering laws we all live with today. Every time a bank asks you for secondary ID, every time you are asked to provide a proof of source of funds, you are feeling the ripples of the ghost airport. Nwude didn't just steal money. He stole the world's remaining innocence regarding international trust. He proved that if a lie is big enough and the person telling it looks official enough, the world will not only believe it, they will wire you the money to build it. The legal precedents are still taught in law schools. The Nwude precedent showed that a developing nation could successfully claw back stolen funds from the labyrinth of Swiss banks. It shattered the myth of the untraceable wire transfer. It changed how we view sovereign fraud and how we prosecute it across borders. But for the families who owned Banco Noroeste, the justice was cold. They lost their heritage. They lost their bank. But they forced the world to acknowledge that the ghost in the machine had a name. And that name was Emmanuel Nwude. As the legal proceedings stretch into 2026, the question remains, can a man like Nwude ever truly be stopped? His ability to navigate the cracks in the system is unparalleled. He is a reminder that the world's greatest cons are never just about the money. They are about the manipulation of the human spirit. The ghost of Abuja still haunts the halls of global finance, whispering to the next ambitious banker that some deals are simply too good to pass up. His story is a reminder that the most dangerous weapon in true crime isn't a gun. It is the audacity of a man who knows exactly what you want to hear. Nwude remains the patron saint of the long con, a man who turned a patch of dirt into a $250 million fortune through nothing more than the power of paper and the relentless exploitation of greed. As his trials continue, the world watches to see if the law can finally ground the man who flew a fake airport into history. If you are captivated by the dark brilliance of the world's most sophisticated criminal masterminds, don't let the trail go cold. Subscribe to Echoes of the Unsolved 001 and turn on the notification bell to ensure you never miss a deep dive into the shadows of history. Our journey doesn't end in the boardrooms of Brazil or the courtrooms of Lagos. Our next investigation takes us across other areas in Africa, where we will uncover stories of missing fortunes, forgotten legends, and the true crimes that shaped a continent. Join us as we shine a light on the secrets the powerful tried to bury. The next mystery is just one notification away.